welcome to the Peak District. So where we are for this week is the town of Chesterfield. We actually have a really nice apartment above a pottery shop. As for now, just going for a nice little walk along a local dam and nature reserve. Now sadly on this holiday, although we're in the Peak District, I do not have my running gear with me. That is because I've got a knackered knee, and later on in this video I might give you the long boring story as to why it hurts so much and why I actually couldn't even drive here. Mrs. Hobbies had to take the lead. So this is the rather picturesque Bakewell. It's the first time we've ever been here, and the weather has been fantastically kind to us. And this is what I would call a proper Peak District type village. All these lovely, fantastic old cottages. And the whole of Bakewell was pretty much like this. It is lovely. Well, we finished our Bakewell tour with the classic Bakewell steak bake. Well, I must say I was rather disappointed. It was cold and actually felt like it come out of fridge. But we have now come to the village of Eyam. So if you're looking for some good fun in Eyam, well, there is some. Well, it might be a small village, but it's certainly worth a visit. It again is so picturesque, and I think that's the thing with the Peak District. You have all these little villages made out of this stone. It's just so nice. This would be a lovely car park for a little car camp as well, but sadly the sign out front says no overnight camping allowed. And this would be just a quick nighttime wander into Chesterfield, which actually is only 15 minutes away from where we are. And I think it's definitely going to be worth a visit tomorrow, because there is plenty here, including including the famous wonky spire. We're starting the day with a rather lovely view from Bolsover Castle, which is English heritage, and we've all actually just joined up today. So the twins are officially old and they are now English heritage members as well. And the thing is, once you join the English heritage, you then have to make the most out of it and go to as many sites as you can. So this is us now at Hardwick Hall, doing the rather massive driveway walk from where we've parked to the hall. Well, even though we got the opening times right, which is that it closes at 5, admission to the rather grand house unfortunately stops at 3. And interestingly, that's because they're only allowed to allow daylight into the building for a certain amount of hours to protect the insides. So that's why it's shut. And this is why this place is both English Heritage and National Trust, because that is National Trust and that is English Heritage. Well, as you know, I can't have a holiday without getting a doner kebab, and it would seem our local takeaway has a thing called a shoebox. So what is in the shoebox? We have garlic bread, doner kebab, chicken shish, lamb shish, chili sauce, and under that, chips. And as you can see, we are actually a fantastically healthy household, as Riley also enjoys the shoebox. Mrs. Hobbies has gone for the Indian curry, and Layla's gone for the doner meat and chips. defeated. Well, welcome to Nottingham Castle. This is one of those amazing little museums where actually they tell you you're allowed to touch everything. So now I have to touch everything because I can. And now we're in
Sheffield.
Yay! Now we're off to my first escape room. Well, and that would be my first attempt at an escape room, and it's safe to say that we are a bunch of
Losers.
losers. What are we, Riley? We're all losers. Very good fun though. Do you recommend it? Now, of all the self-catering accommodations we have ever stayed in, this accommodation is the most well-equipped we have ever had. As you've probably guessed, the thing I've used the absolute most is the coffee grinder. I have been absolutely loving having proper ground coffee every day. Well, this has certainly been a really good visit. The house itself is so interesting and the grounds are pretty cool as well. As far as formal gardens goes, these are actually really nice. They're really well kept. Well, I mentioned at the start of the video that Mrs. Hobbies had to do near enough all the driving to get here. Well, my knee held up for the first couple of days doing short journeys, but I actually can't even drive now. So, car camping in general looks like it's a bit of a no-go at the minute, because I suspect I'm going to have difficulties sitting in the back and, of course, the problem of even getting there in the first place. And so for our final trip on this holiday, we are finally going to have a little walk around Chesterfield. And just like that, it is Sunday morning, it's all over and it's time to go home. We've managed to cram so much into our time here, and the weather has been fantastic pretty much for the whole 7 days, to be fair. And what was really interesting as well is the difference in where we actually stayed. So the first time we ever came to the Peak District, we stayed in a cottage in Glossop, and it was proper rural and it was proper lovely. But actually being here in a more central-ish location has also proven to be actually really handy. There's a lot to be said actually between the more urban style accommodation and the more rural side, but either way it has worked fantastic for us. Well, I suppose I better carry on with trying to bring stuff down the stairs and loading up the car, and then we need to scoot off home. So I hope you've enjoyed our little Peak District family holiday, and until next time, take care.